I made a video holding Maggie accountable for the lies that she was telling on stream. I did. I made a video and I held her accountable. I even made a tweet. However, that did not prevent me from DMing her and attempting to assist her, because I left her a comment before I knew what was going on. And I said, I still think there's a chance that you make this out unscathed if you make a video apologizing, keeping yourself accountable, and just make the best content moving forward. She makes an upload or an update video, and we're going to see how it went. I have no idea. And I'm hoping to God she stops talking to Gateo. Yeah, that's one of the people who I will actively advocate to not talk to, as the guy is a openly racist streamer. Don't really think that's that too good to communicate with, and I'll be real. Maggie gets more viewers on Twitch and YouTube than Gateo, so why the fuck this millionaire going to a homeless man on the streets to get advice on how to stream? Makes no fucking sense. Hey guys, I'll say it. I'm gonna say a brave take in 2025. I don't like racists in 2025. I don't. I think it's fucking ridiculous. So let's see what she did.
Isn't the type of video I'd ever expect to be making.
Okay.
But here we are. I've had some time to sort out my thoughts, realizing the problems were not just what I did, but how I communicated and reacted to the situation.
I'm glad she went in VR chat to really be more expressive. It would be better if they were like, if they had like sad rain noise and waves crashing in the background, you know? And like her like, please forgive me. But, you know, the full body tracking, this is smart. But not the right map, not the right map. Too much white. Twitter doesn't like that.
I wanted this opportunity to acknowledge my mistakes, explain all of my thoughts throughout the process.
Okay.
And provide context to problematic comments I've made.
Okay.
So let's start with the video. Originally published as Carl Games Ended My Career.
Yep.
At the time, I spent very little time deciding the video title.
Yeah, I can tell. And by her changing the title like 5 fucking times, I think she realized she fucked up. However, I do think it was a very opportunistic way to jump on the fuck Kuro train, which I think is very manipulative, obviously. Everybody was thinking that.
I didn't properly think through the implications of the title I went with. The main problem with it is that it took away accountability from myself and put it towards Carl.
True.
Which, when combined with my statements in the video that I had no clue how this came to be, paints a picture of playing the victim.
Uh-huh.
When writing updates, and in hindsight admitting to wrongdoing, I gave a disingenuous aura. Why would I say I was clueless about the reason for suspension?
Sure.
With that video, I had gone against the very mantra of my channel and betrayed your trust.
So she is definitely admitting that she absolutely fucked up. I think this is good so far. 1.5 minutes of accountability. Let's see how it keeps going.
For which I'm deeply sorry. Before I explain myself, I need to provide some background.
Okay.
When Carl sent me a response regarding my removal from the program, they noted that I had been reported to have been suspected of leaking. Without having any more to go off, myself and the broader community brought about 2 main items of interest. One is a video I made in February regarding the future of Spectral Frazzle, and the second is a live stream where I was doing a pre-release theorycraft on Cantarella.
Sure.
The Frazzle video was actually re-uploaded, with the first version being based on an information packet that was handed out by the content creator program. This information packet was regarding negative statuses, explaining the basics in a similar level as the in-game tutorial.
Yep.
And creators were told to use this to aid their content creation, with no rules or disclaimers regarding how the information should be used.
Chat, what do you guys think? What does the council think so far? Where are we at? What do we think? Cooked? Cringe? I think it's a guy. I don't care. All right. Okay. Mixed messages.
However, it had one brief hint regarding a potential future character interaction with Frazzle. I had speculated that this could be relating to Zani, as she was the only character previewed in the 2.0 cast that could potentially fit the element. However, the hint being in the document felt a bit off to me, and it prompted me to reach out to Carl's staff, where I eventually got in contact with the staff who wrote this document, and they themselves were unaware that the creator program had already sent it out, urging creators to use it for content nonetheless. They mentioned that it wasn't meant to be explicitly shared, and I worked with them to unlist and edit my video to fit their requirements to their satisfaction. They updated the creator team to send out a follow-up email with clarification and new rules for how the information can be used. I believed that this video was the reason for my reporting, as it was fairly recent, and I know a lot of people were half-jokingly calling me a leaker for publishing it, despite the fact that Zani was not playable until the 2.3 beta, which was months after the video. Because this all stemmed from a misunderstanding, I felt that reports based on this were very unfair, and that I had been wronged. But what about the
Nah, you weren't. You were not wronged. You reap what you sowed.
theory crafting stream where I was clearly using Cantarella's skill values prior to her release? This might not make sense at first, but I had grown complacent that this wasn't an issue. Prior to every character release, I had always been preparing my numbers on a spreadsheet. I would do this using resources such as Weathering Wiki, which have data mined values that are classified as leaks. I'm not saying that this was okay to do.
Okay. If it's data mined, it's not classified as a leak. It just is a leak. You can't go into the source code early to get information that it is not publicly available and it be anything other than leaks. Let's keep going here.
But this was a process I've used since the start of my WoA content, and I have always been very open about this, as can be seen on my JoJo theory crafting stream, where I pulled up the window on screen in order to do my work. Despite this, on patch 1.3, following Shorekeeper's release, I was invited to the beta for the first time, at which point I was asked to sign an NDA to not share information from the beta client. During that time, I hadn't streamed any pre-release theory crafting. After Shorekeeper, Yohu was the next new character, and because she was added to the patch to be available to play briefly during the quest, all of her information was in-game, and I returned to doing my usual pre-release theorycraft stream. While this was okay, it started getting dodgy with patch 1.4 and Camellia's release. This time, I had access to the beta, but I still ended up doing my typical theorycraft stream. I really thought that if I never logged into the beta, and just did things the way I had always done before, using numbers from an external website, instead of providing anything from the beta myself, that I'd be fine. I even went an extra step and scrambled all the—
Oh, so she's just dumb. Okay, great. All right, yeah, so she's just dumb. Okay. So this wasn't a leak out of maliciousness. This was a leak out of being stupid. Okay, great.
names of the data entries. Out of the next many characters, Louis, Carlotta, Rocia, and Brent, these were all fair game, with Carlotta being calculated after her release due to my PoE2 addiction. However, Phoebe was not, and this time I took less precaution than before and didn't even bother changing the skill names, only changing the name of the character. But I would still do this before even having the beta client downloaded. And fast forward to Cantarella's release, this time I took initiative to get the setup done ahead of time, typically in the same fashion I always have, using numbers from websites, but also getting my framework done. While my previous interactions were spotty, this time there was an actual problem, as I had interacted with the beta client, even referencing a quick clip on stream to confirm a fact for my work. While I never showed this footage, I had sound effects on. At this point, I had flown too close to the sun, even if I didn't really think much of it back then. I had crossed the line of what's okay to do.
Yeah, you signed an NDA to not leak anything in the beta, and then you leak the character values as well as the sound design. Obviously, that's not good to do when you're underneath NDA. That's the big difference, right? You can't sign an NDA to not disclose things that are not publicly available, and then publicly disclose them, right? And then act surprised when you get fucked up. Good.
And because of the history I had with doing theorycraft streams, where I was given beta access despite my open pre-release theorycrafting, using websites offering leaked data, on top of every other character release being okay to theorycraft, that I had grown complacent, thinking I wasn't doing something wrong. After all,
let me double check to see if she's actually truly, I haven't checked. If she is truly sorry, the previous video will be removed. Excellent. Excellent. Step in the right direction. Good.
I'd always done it this way in the past with no problems, right? Either way, back to the original video. Though at the time, I was focused on the Frazzle video, which I thought made no sense to hold me accountable for, as it had already been resolved. I realized in hindsight that I was wrong to word things in a way that deflected my own responsibility in all of this.
Good.
I had knowingly been tiptoeing around what's okay to do during my theorycrafting live streams, thinking it was okay simply because no action was taken from the beginning. I'm not perfect, but that's how my thought process went. So why did I make a comment about how Carl's anniversary situation was a good
This is the big part. Because this is the part that made it seem premeditated as fuck.
time to make a video about the content creator program? I've always been transparent with my problems with the program, discussing them on streams and in chat, the most egregious of them being the lack of communication. I didn't even realize that I was removed from the content creator program before patch 2.2 even started. It took weeks for me to even realize that the invitation never went out.
What do you guys think? I'm seeing a lot of people say cap. I'm going to leave it to that's kind of sus.
At which point, I assumed that they just forgot to send it out. I had to scramble out to all of my contacts to try to figure out what happened, only to receive the news just days ago. Panicked and unsure of how to talk about this, I appealed the suspension and waited for a response from Carl. To be honest, I'm scared of the WoA community. When I made this statement, I never intended to generalize the entire community.
Well, you did. And I'm not going to lie, Maggie. Your options are that, one, you're a liar, or two, you are just straight up fucking dumb, right? And you need to acknowledge that, right? Because there is no way you make that comment and then say, oh, I never meant to do that thing that I exactly did. WoA has the worst community I've ever seen. Dude, WoA is full of clowns. If you try to do any theory crafting, it becomes drama instead. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, bro. Like, it's pretty hard to say that you didn't mean it that way.
I never intended to generalize the
But everyone does this, though? Yeah, but that's because they're saying they're meaning to generalize the entire thing. There's no way that you just say that that wasn't your intention. There's just no way, right? Like when I say the Genshin community is full of retards, I mean that shit. And then I'll say the vocal minority is full of retards, right? I mean, come on. Come on. The majority of Genshin Impact people are just like, oh, wow, look at this mint. Wow, look at Keking. You can see her butt when you swing her sword, right? Then you got the, oh, dude, they looked at me. They're my wife in real life, dude. Like, dude, the VA, they're real. Oh, dude, I fucking love Paimon, dude. Dude, Paimon's so fucking good. Anyways.
Entire community.
But I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't act like I'm a good guy. That's the difference, brother. I don't act like I'm a good guy. I do not care.
But rather, vent about the loud and toxic minority. Particularly, I've been attacked on several occasions for even breathing anything negative about Carl or the game itself. In a video where I gave an honest...
I think that's fair to say that there are some people in this community that get a little bit too guard doggish. You find a lot of them in Saints chat. A little bit too guard doggish. And I don't think that's fucked up to say. I think we would agree St. Totas, the guard dog of WoA, has a lot of guard dogs in his chat, and we all know it's true. We all know it's true.
And constructive review on the endgame loop back in patch 1.3, the comments were full of toxicity, ironically, with many of them celebrating leaks that they heard.
Can you check these tweets of her being really salty and dumb? Okay. So what do we care about? Like, I should probably wait to, like, get paid and get final confirmation for what happens first, maybe. I don't know. The timing right now is really good. Everyone's pissed at Curl right now. This is honestly the best time for me to make a video talking about my negative experience with WoA CC. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, we're going to keep going on this.
As someone who typically produces highly objective guide content, I'm not so used to reading so many negative comments, and I was afraid I'd trigger similar responses. Seeing the anniversary news being one of the rare times the broader community is willing to hear complaints related to Carl, I thought it would be in my best interest to minimize potential backlash to upload a video. While that obviously was my wrongdoing, at least now you understand my thoughts. Why do you have a leak channel in your Discord?
I'm gonna keep it a buck. This is her just admitting that she's a fucking snake. Yeah, straight up. Like, that's just like, yeah, I was a snake. 100%. Like, and I'm gonna be real. And I don't forgive that at all. Snake ass behavior. I don't give a fuck what your mindset was. That shit made it even worse, to be honest. What should she have done? Not fucking done that. Right? That's some snake ass behavior. Oh, now that everybody's dogpiling, I'm gonna dogpile even harder. Nah. That's ridiculous, bro. Was that what she did? Yeah, she admitted that right there. So pretty much in this video, she's saying, I'm stupid, I'm a liar, I'm a snake. I'm going to give you the full rundown after this. Hold up.
Leak culture is very hard to shut out without constant, super strict moderation around the clock. I understand this solution is far from perfect, or even downright unacceptable, but that channel is there to serve as a containment field for leaks. A simple search can show my involvement with that channel. Getting randomly pinged a couple times, stumbling across a random non-leak related question, refusing to disclose any shorekeeper information, and then everything beyond this point was prior to NDA. Why are you in another public Discord that has a leaks channel? When doing that, it's easy to make mistakes. There's a group of other theory crafters in that server with whom I compare results with at times for validation within a private channel. And how active am I in the leak channel in that Discord? I only sent my first message there after the drama had already started, and I started getting pinged. Next, why did I say Wua is bad? While that
You typing in it doesn't mean that you don't view it.
comment was from months ago, I understand how that could shake the trust and integrity of the content I'm doing. Frankly, I often have a love-hate relationships with the games I play, and I'm never afraid to vent about it. I played League of Legends. I hated it. Still played it though. And OSRS, what do I think of that? I think Wua has its problems. I won't deny that. But I think it also has its strengths too.
I think this is very fair. I'm the exact same way with the games I play. To be completely honest, I'm the exact same way. This one, I actually fully understand, and I think this one is completely legitimate.
I really enjoy the combat, and want to do my best job at making the best guides I can. If I was just in here for the money, I don't think I would be investing hundreds of hours working on open source code to create convenient character references, the point of which is to reduce the amount of times people have to open my videos, all being available on a Google Sheet that's obviously not monetized. I understand that things I say may have trouble reaching you, and it is my fault for that. My impulsive actions have caused harm that I deeply regret, and I wish I knew how to handle the situation better. I really appreciate the time of those listening to this, and I promise to be better from here on out.
I'm going to give you my full thoughts on this video. I tried to let her cook as much as I possibly could. Here's my full thoughts. I think Maggie admits and acknowledges that she's stupid, she's a liar, and that she's a snake. Absolutely. I think her saying that Woo-Wah is shit is fine to say. A lot of people, including myself, have love-hate relationships with every game they play and still play them every day. It's the same thing with Magic the Gathering that I play. It's the same thing with Pokemon that I play. It's the same thing with every game that I play. I'm not a mindless player. I understand the faults. I vent my frustrations. It is what it is. However, I think this was a great apology. I do. However, it's only surface level. And this needs to be proven through the next months that what she said she's actually taking accountability for and that she's actually repenting for and is going to attempt to be better moving forward. I think Maggie is an amazing content creator as far as her lore or her theory crafting goes. I think she is probably the best guide maker in all of Wuthering Waves. You pretty much can't ask her to do anything more than this, to be completely honest. This seemed like a sincere apology. There was a lot of ignorance in this, and to be honest, I think she probably would have been able to navigate the space if she had better counsel. Unfortunately, she went to Kateo, and I think that's probably her number one mistake. And I think that her snake-like behavior was influenced by the snake she hangs out with. That's just my opinion. Maggie, I think that was a good apology. Just prove to people that you mean it, and I think you're going to be absolutely fucking fine. Yeah, it's not for me to tell you guys who to forgive. That is up for you guys to choose, and that's pretty much all we can do. Great apology. Now prove that you mean it. That's it.